Thank you all for coming. Welcome to the November 23rd Administration and Public Works Committee meeting. We have a quorum. May I have Alderman Sufferton read the suspension of the rules for remote participation?
Sure. Due to an executive order issued by Governor J.B. Pritzker, staff recommends the suspension of the rules regarding in-person attendance, requirements for public meetings allowing for city council members and city staff to participate in this meeting remotely.
Is there a second? Alderman Rainey, you're on mute if you seconded it. Thank you.
I'll take a roll.
Please, thank you.
Alderman Rainey. Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Motion passes. And next we'll have public comment. Director, how many do we have signed up for public comment tonight?
I'm only aware of one, Mike Basilko.
Okay, so we'll go ahead with Mike Basilko.
Thank you. E4, first Mike Basilko, 6th Ward, 2728 Reese. So why is it there's another purchase of another 20 vehicles, spending $1.44 million in a year where you're trying to cut the budget? And I just have, this comes up almost every month. Actually, I think it does come up every month where you're buying vehicles. Why can't the council just pass on one of these to save, in this case, $1.4 million until next year? It seems like we buy more vehicles than I can count. Why are we spending $10 million, or I'm sorry, $10,000 out of a TIF fund for lights on Howard Street?
Oh.
Seems like that's not what a TIF fund is for, but yet we're spending $10,000 for that. Why are we spending $24,000 for a forgivable loan? I don't know why we call it a forgivable loan. We just give money away to a restaurant in the West Evanston TIF fund. That's $24,000. Why are we giving or spending $46,000 for a mural repair this year? I guess this is on Ridge and Green Bay. Why do we have to repair that this year? It's $44,000 that could be held until next year or the year after. Why are we still spending money on the Howard Street Theater, even though it's a couple $100? That's another bill that slipped in. And again, why is it necessary to spend $32,000 this year for a public art contract at the Robert Crown Center when it seems like that could be postponed for a year or two? There are other items in the bills list, but council never seems to object to anything in the bills list. And yet this year, or this month, it's almost $7 million between the bills list and the payroll. And it just seems to me you could take a knife to some of this and cut it down to something more manageable for this particular year. Thank you very much.
All right. And next we have the consent calendar. We can pass the consent calendar other than the items that you would like to be taken off for discussion. So if you could just call those items off and we will pass the consent. just give you a couple more minutes to review it.
Thank you. Should we take 6 off so we can get the right number?
Okay.
Alderman Ruth Simmons, I see Jamie Collier on the call. Did she intend to speak? Or,
We don't have anyone else signed up for public comment. Thank you. Anything else?
Alderman Simmons,
Yes.
am I off mute? Yes.
Yes.
Alderman Simmons, did Mr. Stoneback say that it was an email we received earlier?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta find that.
The email
Can you
came from
correct
Tashika Kerr at 3:34 PM.
Thank you. Sorry I missed it.
Can you just refresh it for the committee members, Director?
I'm sorry?
The email, do you mind refreshing the email for the committee?
Sure.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, it came in from Sheik.
I got the bills list. Oh, I see. 334, right.
Okay, if there is nothing else, then we'll go ahead and may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? We're removing A6. Anything else?
So moved. The consent calendar minus A6.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Rainey,
Yes, sir.
Alderman Fleming,
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Okay, the consent calendar passes. Next, we have A6 is a resolution 118 R20 authorizing the city manager to enter into a professional services agreement for actionable pricing for electric energy supply. Staff is recommending the adoption of this resolution for professional services for 93 city electric accounts. This is for action. Is there a second?
Second.
It looks like we have Kumar here. Is there any discussion on the committee, and was there a staff presentation?
Well, it's for MC Energy Services. We need a report here.
Yeah, I do not have a presentation, but I'd be glad to explain this agreement and how it compares to earlier agreements that the city has had. So good evening, members of the committee, Honorable Chair and Director Stonebeck. My name is Kumar Jensen, Chief Sustainability and Resilience Officer for the city. The city has historically, since the early 2010s, gone out and sought competitive pricing for electricity for a few or a select number of city accounts. Historically, that number of city electric accounts has been close to, has hovered around the 20 range. And partially that number was so low because of the quote unquote free electricity that another about 26 accounts that the city had would receive from ComEd. And this year, since we no longer have a franchise agreement with ComEd, we have been able to combine really all of the city's electric accounts. So both the accounts from the franchise agreement, but also other smaller accounts and our street lighting accounts, so that we are trying to have all of these accounts under one agreement. Makes it a lot easier for us administratively. And it also, we have found, provides us with the best pricing. And so this year, with this agreement, what we are doing is we have combined all those accounts. So there's 93 in total, and we have sought pricing for 3 different terms. So a 13-month, a 25-month, and a 37-month. Those may sound a little bit weird, but what we're trying to do is get these contracts to line up with the city's budget year. So that we can more accurately budget for what our electric account needs are. The updated memo that you have includes what we call actionable pricing. So because the electric prices are so volatile, it's very difficult for a supplier to be able to provide a firm price for more than 24 hours without providing a pretty significant markup. And so what we did in our selection process is we identified 2 of the 4 suppliers that responded to the RFP. We deemed them responsive and invited them to submit updated pricing today. And so they submitted pricing to the city by noon, and staff reviewed those proposals. And what we found diverges a little bit from what we've done in the past. And what we found was that between MC Squared and Dynegy Vistra, I'm just going to call them Dynegy for short, but they are sort of have multiple names, was that although Dynegy did provide a slightly lower rate of electricity, which in the 13-month term amounted to about $7,000 in savings, MC Squared actually has agreed to provide the city with a $50,000 grant each year that is unrestricted funding that they would provide to the city by January 31st each year, that the city could then use towards energy efficiency and renewable energy projects at our discretion. And so when we start to look at and Dynegy has also agreed to provide a grant, but the values that they are providing are much lower. For the 25-month term, they would provide us with a $14,500 grant. And then for the 37-month term, they would provide us with a $20,500 grant. And so when we were doing our analysis, we compared the rate, the grant amount, and then we also compared their ability to supply the city with renewable energy through buying renewable energy credits. And then lastly, we also compared their ability to provide us with a consolidated online billing platform that will make it much easier for the staff administratively. So the last thing I want to mention that was significant in comparing Dynegy and MC Squared was that Dynegy indicated that they are unable to commit to providing the city with 100% renewable energy through our requirements. They said they could provide us with what they considered sort of a comparable or a similar type, but they couldn't guarantee that they would meet our exact standards. So that is why city staff are recommending contract award to MC Squared. Be glad to take any questions.
Alderman Rainey?
Kumar, did we ever have a relationship with MC Square before?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. So
Absolutely.
when was that?
Dave, do you recall? I believe it was, or maybe it was back in 2014. It wasn't the most recent agreement that we had from 2016, but I believe it was either the one prior or two before that.
But it was a okay relationship, right? We didn't have a problem. No. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a fine relationship.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Kumar, thank you for that background. Director, when you're ready, you can take the roll.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming,
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite, Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Ruth
You
Simmons.
hear me?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
A6 passes. Are there any items for consideration or discussion or communication? Okay, with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Second? Okay, the
Second.
meeting, thank you. We don't need a roll for that, do we?
I'll take one.
Yeah, Alderman, yes, we do need a roll, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
Alderman Fleming,
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite,
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons,
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. We do not have P and D, is that correct? Oh, yeah, we do not have P and D. We do have council not until 5:30, so we'll have a break until then.
Thank you.
Right, thank you all.
you.